Hello everyone. Today I will talk about old house decoration. That old houses become prettier and unique through decoration. I am the founder of 草记 Book Inn. My name is 周龙堂, or you can call me Yongbei. So, why am I invited? Well, it is because Tainan is a city with unique historical culture. I also have an old house from the Qing dynasty. This house serves as a restaurant. But today our topic is about Airbnb, so I will talk about the inn that I have. This B&B is quite unique and famous in Taiwan. I know you might think that I'm boasting because it's my B&B, right? But my B&B is quite unique because we took over this Airbnb from a second-hand bookstore, and it's also an old house with history. And we make this B&B quite unique. So today I will talk about some of the processes that we have been through and some of my thoughts. So the first slide you see is that the front door of the 草记second-hand bookstore. This bookstore was like one of the top 5 second-hand bookstore in southern part of Tainan. It was founded in 2012 and closed in April 2019. At that time, a lot of people felt sorry for this. And among this sentimental moment, we took over the second-hand bookstore. We did this because we thought that passing on Taiwanese culture is something that has to be done. We need to think about how to pass on the features of the old house. What are the business that we will be doing? What should we do to use this old house to make money, to continue our business? I was the chairperson of the Taiwan B&B Association, and that's why I thought that I could turn this old house into a B&B and also combine the feature of the second-hand books together. How could we run or maintain an old house? You need to think about what are the business that you want to do and what would be the features that you want to give this old house. That's why at the time when I took over this second-hand bookstore, I want to combine B&B and second books together and to create a B&B with the feature of the second-hand books. So how are we gonna, when we talk about decorating or planning the future for the old houses, we need to be familiar with the materials and the designs. I love to play with some spacious designing ideas. I also love the Taiwanese old houses. I think for the Taiwanese old houses, there are a lot of raw materials available, and one of it is the Taiwanese cypress. This is the top-notch wood material in Taiwan. You can trace its history back to the Japanese colonial era. The Japanese, they collected the cypress from Ali Mountain. They even shipped this kind of wood to Japan to build their shrines. So that's why we decided to use the Taiwanese cypress as one of the raw material for our ink. Moreover, it is because books and Taiwanese cypress both have unique and special scents. So we want to combine these two things together. And the photo that you see on the right-hand side, you might not know what these are, but these are the utility poles from the Japanese colonial era. At that time, the utility poles were made by wood. So these long wooden plates, they are used for the utility poles because they don't want the poles to be conductive. The holes that you see on these poles are the parts that you use to fasten the screws. I bought about 3,000 pieces of these poles back then. I used them to decorate the Airbnb and also some of the places that I owned. I think these raw materials are just wonderful. There are a lot of different types of wood in Taiwan. And the poles that you see now are made from Taiwanese Zelkova. They are hard, so when facing wind or rain, these wooden poles would not be rotten, and these wooden plates are quite suitable for tables or chairs that are for outdoor uses, and you need to think about how to turn them into objects that are both beautiful and practical. For different cities, we have different local resources. And for my inn, it's quite large. It's about 283 square meters. So this inn actually has a lot of public areas for our visitors. With the spacious public areas, you need to turn them into beautiful ones, and you need to leverage these public areas. That's why we try to leverage our local resources and some of the artists that we know. So the photo on the left-hand side is the basement at our inn. It's a basement for exhibition. We will collaborate with local art groups for interior design to hold exhibitions. Some graduate students would also hold exhibitions here. It is free. We provide the space for free for the local artists and the graduate students. Their inventions or creations will also become quite wonderful decorations for our inn. So on the right-hand side is a poster for the exhibition of an artist, Chen Yichun. He's a good friend of mine. And we, at Chaoji Book Inn, we have a lot of paintings created by this artist. So basically what I mentioned were the three unique features of the Chaoji Book Inn. And this was how Taiwan's first book-themed youth hostel was born. So why did we want to operate a youth hostel? I was actually quite a good friend with the owner of the Chaoji second-hand bookstore, and we knew that many county and city leaders have once visited Japan and invited Tsutaya bookstore to set store in Taiwan. Well, the leaders that I just mentioned are like former mayor of Tainan and former mayor of Kaohsiung. And my friend thought that when you want to create like a place with Taiwanese culture, you shouldn't invite like foreigners to do so. So we thought that it's better for us to do this. And of course, at that time, second-hand books or like the physical books are not that popular. This is because digital books are on the rise. Because of all these reasons, I decided to spend 3 million New Taiwanese dollars to purchase the Chaoji second-hand bookstore and turn it into the first youth hotel in Taiwan. So for Chaoji, it has about 50,000 books. And we decided to maintain the feature or the uniqueness of this second-hand bookstore and to build our own B&B. I want to first about why the book inn was called Chaoji. Well, it is because the family name of the previous owner was Cai, and you can turn Cai this letter into 2 different letters, which are Chaoji. And with the blessing of the previous owner, we were able to manage this book inn. But it's quite pity because now with the pandemic, we cannot have like visitors or at our place. So as you can see, this place is really beautifully decorated. Some of the steels are exposed. I just mentioned that the basement of our hostel is a place for exhibition. Well, why do we have this basement? This basement is because during World War II, there would be like a basement for shelters, which means that when there were airstrikes, people in this neighborhood would all come to the basement for protection. So the basement for this old house is made for shelter. And the previous owner, when he bought this old house, it was quite humid in this basement. So he decided to crack an opening for the basement. So that's why you could see all these exposed steels here. For creating this kind of design, you need an architecture to do assessment to see whether the floor bearing or the steel bearing is still suitable to support the old house. So at that time, the architecture made assessment, and the architecture said that the bearing or the basement was quite okay. It would not influence the supporting of the overall architecture of the old house. And it's a very unique feature of this old house, and we decided to maintain this feature, and we want to provide this space to all of our visitors. All the visitors can still read books here. We want to become good friends with all the visitors, so that these visitors they could explore Tainan. And this is a background about why we took over this secondhand bookstore and why we want to build this youth hostel. So in total, this construction took us about 8 months, about 250 days. It took us this long to turn the Caoji second-hand bookstore to the Caoji Book Inn. So this is the before and after photos. I think you could see some of our ideas through the changes. In the next part of my presentation, I will talk about the Caoji Book Inn. And then I will talk about some of the details to run the B&B. I will also talk about the beams and like the designs that I just mentioned. How can we incorporate all these materials to create a beautiful place? So these two photos are the ones that I took in Jiayi. Jiayi is a place for the Taiwanese cypress that I just mentioned, and I took these photos at my friend's place. I just said that I want to incorporate the Taiwanese cypress and books together so that we could incorporate the sense of these two things. I spent about 600,000 new Taiwanese dollar on these wooden raw materials. The wood you see is from Taiwanese cypress trees that are more than 500 years old. The wood is really strong and stable. It will not be influenced by the heat or the temperature. The wood does not deform that easily. The wood has weathered a lot of difficulties. So this wood is really suitable raw materials. This is why I spent 600,000 new Taiwanese dollars on them. And these materials were about 10,000 tons in terms of the weight. It took us a lot of time to transport all the raw materials back to Tainan. I think the interior design really requires your own ideas and creativities. For me, I will always participate in this process. So I just told you that I bought a lot of Taiwanese cypress or a lot of like wooden pallets, right? So for these wooden pallets, there were some paint or some like writings. I have to remove all these pens or like handwritings from the wooden pallets by myself. I always think that the old objects actually have spirits. They would interact with the owners. Of course, people would just think that old objects are still objects. But for me, it's different. So let's take this as an example. For the wooden materials that I bought, one of the wooden pallets has handwriting that says that reading books is beneficial for you. And then I decided to keep the handwritings on the pallets to show them to our visitors. This is the before-after photo. This is the entrance of our B&B. So this is the reception hall. So on the left-hand side was before the construction, and on the right-hand side the photo is a look after the construction. The raw material that we use for the wooden wall that you see now is Taiwanese cypress. We only use this material. The Taiwanese cypress or the wooden pallets that you are seeing now had to be sent to the factories so that we could cut them or shape them into the sizes that we want. Each of the pallets is about like 3 meters long, and in terms of thickness, it's about 10 centimeters. As for the width, it's about 30 centimeters. I picked these wooden materials because I want to use the wood to create the shelves on the wall. We want to create a look like you are stretching out your arms, like you are giving hugs to others. So here are some of the photos of our construction process. During this process, we use only the wood as our material. We did not use any screws or bolts. This is really hard and it's very difficult. It took us a lot of time. So this is the photo that I want to show you. We tried to build a bookshelf at the reception hall, and this bookshelf is a curved one. I think you might know that to build something that is curved, it's always more difficult. These bookshelves are handmade, so we hire the craftsmen to do this. After we build the bookshelves, we need to put the books onto the shelves, right? So I just mentioned there were like 50,000 books at the second-hand bookstore. So during the whole process of the construction, we need to move and clean these books for like about 4 times during the whole construction process. So basically, during the whole construction process, we have moved and cleaned at least 200,000 books in total. The work was quite labor intensive because you cannot use machine to do that. You need to clean these books one by one and move them one by one. And it took us 4 rounds to finish the whole process. And then I want to talk about space. I think this is probably the most famous place in southern part of Taiwan, or the most famous bookshelf in southern part of Taiwan. The raw materials, of course, are like the Taiwanese cypress that I just mentioned, and the hole that you see here, it's the steel, like the reinforced bars. A lot of people would come here to take photos, and a lot of people would also spend time reading books here. And to build the bookshelves, it really was a hard work, a time-consuming work. When we first purchased the second-hand bookstore, we need to demolish like the bookshelves and move the bookshelves to other places, move the books to other places. And then I just told you that I like to use the wooden pallets or wooden beams, right? So on the left hand side of the photo, you can see a lot of square boxes. These square boxes are made by the materials from the ancient bed frames. These are the bed frames that you could find in Taiwan, and these bed frames are made by like long wooden pallets. So the boxes that you see in these photos were all made by the materials that I just mentioned. It took us like 200 some wooden pallets to build all these wooden boxes. And then on the right hand side, these are the wooden utility poles that I just mentioned. For these wooden pallets, we had to cut them into the sizes that we want and need so that we could turn them into the boxes that we will put on the wall. So in total, there are 220 boxes for us to put the books. I always joked that we were like building the houses for the books, and we built like 220 different units of houses for the books in total. And this is how we try to revive the old materials and make them something practical and beautiful. And this is also the construction process. We had to mount all the wooden boxes on the wall. And then this is the results that we have. So this is the construction process of our bookshelf. Next, I want to talk about the bathroom construction. In Taiwan, for the old houses more than 60 years old, the septic tanks are usually made by bricks. The modern houses would need modern septic tanks with new functions. That's why when you purchase an old house, you need to create or build a new septic tank. To refurbish a new house in Tainan is challenging because some of the bricks, like excavators or lifters, could not enter the site. That's why a lot of the construction has to be done by the laborers. So as you can see on the slide, we need our workers to dig a hole that's about 1 man tall, and then the width of this hole is about 20 meters. This house is quite big, so we need 3 septic tanks. To build or to dig this hole and to transport the soils that we dug out really were a big work. The interior design of the old house has to fit the business that we want to do. So the photo on the left hand side, we were doing the construction layout. We want to measure the houses so that we could create a bathroom. This old house, it did not have the bathroom that is suitable for a hostel. That's why we had to redesign the space. Basically, we had to create a completely new bathroom, and then we needed to do the layout survey on our own to measure out the space. And then here is about the layout survey for the construction. We need to lay the bricks for the floor. And in Taiwanese, we call this process 放牛. After we finished the layout survey, the construction workers would know the demarcation of the wall and the floor. And then on the right hand side, we were doing the utility lines. These were some of the pipelines that we need, and then we need to cover the pipelines with other materials so that it would not look that messy. And then here is about like laying the bricks. I just say that this space or this room was not built for bathroom. That's why we had to redesign the whole space. And so you could see the before and after. Here is the result of the bathroom construction. Because I am running an Airbnb, so I really paid a lot to the details. I did my homework and research. So when I was designing the bathroom, I really pay attention to the numbers of the bathroom. The bathroom to customer ratio needs to be the right one so that customers don't need to line up for the bathroom. I really don't like to queue up for things. So when I was designing this bathroom, I want to make sure that we have enough bathroom. When I was doing my research, I would go to visit different hostels. For these hostels, they would have one bathroom for 8 to 12 customers. I think this is totally not enough. That's why at that time when I was designing the bathroom, I want to have one bathroom for 5 to 6 customers. At Taoji Hostel, we have 88 beds. When our beds are fully booked, we've never encountered customers complaining about queuing up for the bathrooms. We also think about the convenience and the beauty of this room. That's why when I was designing the bathroom, I want to separate the showers from other places. You might not see my whole body, but I'm actually quite large. So when I was visiting our hostel, I had to shower at a space that's quite small. And sometimes when I try to put on my trousers, the floor of the bathroom is wet. That's why I want my hostel to have a separate shower place and with the bathroom. This would give the customers time to clean up and tidy up after they have their shower. And here I want to talk about the shower gels and shampoos. I think this is really important if you are running a hostel or running a hotel. And the products that we use are from a very big brand in Taiwan. It's called Olite. And a lot of people will say, you're just running a hostel. Why do you need to use some high-end products? I think a hostel is a place for us to make friends. Our guests are our friends, and we want to interact with our guests. That's why we would not provide something that's substandard for our friends. This is something that I insist on, and something that I always pay attention to. And then you can see, even though we are just a hostel, we will still use washlets for our toilets. And then on the very right of the photo, you could see a small piece of wood. This is made from the construction scraps that we had. The customers can put their phones or glasses on this piece of wood. I think there are a lot of components or design concepts that you could pay attention to. In this way, you could turn the old house into a new one. And here are some of the skincare products that we provide to the female customers. You have like makeup removers, lotions. Well, I provide all these products because I believe our customers, our guests are our friends, and we don't want to provide them something that's substandard. That's why basically for the customers, they only need one toothbrush to stay at our hostel. You don't need to bring the shampoo, shower gels, or like skincare products. Of course, you have to bring your own clothes, that's for sure. And then on the right hand side of the photo, the top right, you can see two paintings. These two paintings are pink, and they are created by Chen Yichun, the artist that I just mentioned, who is a good friend of mine. These paintings in Taiwan, their value should be calculated by their sizes. The paintings have been here for about 3 years, and they are here for free as our decoration. The painting, in terms of its size, the value should be more than 100,000 Taiwanese dollars, so I really appreciate it. And then we will talk about the bar. I think for the design of the old houses, we have to do the designs. We have to participate in the designs. And so here is the bar at the lunch. And so you could see the side of the bar. And the bar is made by the scraps of the wooden materials that I just mentioned. And I think this design is really unique and special. So I think for a lot of things, you need to really have to participate in them and to give some of your thoughts. In this way, you could add some unique touch to the design of the hostel. And then we use the wooden pallets. These are the pallets that we use to transport the goods to our place. And we turn these wooden materials into sofa. And I think this is a really good layout for the lunch. And then on your right hand side, you can see the tables. These tables are also made by the wooden utility post that I just mentioned. And then you can see on the left hand side of the photo, there is actually a partition screen. This partition screen is also made by the wooden utility post that I just mentioned. So this is the lunch. Lunch on the left, the photo on the left hand side, you can see the lunch is like an outdoor space. And with the marble, the lunch bar, the bar is actually a very good place for people to communicate or interact with each other. A lot of things that you see in these photos are made by the wooden utility posts. I think that if you are willing to spend some time to think about the designs, you will find a lot of useful materials. And this table, of course, is made by the wooden utility poles. And for the two Mac computers that you see, they are how are we different from other hostel, because a lot of people will say you're only in hostel but you are providing a high quality computer to your customers. I think this is how we show our sincerity to our customers. And then here is the wall decoration for our lunch. The shape you see is actually an imagery of Tainan. The shape is like the shape of Tainan if you check the map. And all the empty squares here are the districts of Tainan. They represent the different districts here in Tainan. This design is a bulletin board. Our guests, they could leave messages. We use the hemp rope to create an imagery of Tainan, and the customers, if they have some messages for us, for themselves, or for others, they could write the words on some cards and then tie the cards to the wall. I think it's a really special design for the bulletin board. Next, I want to talk about the room construction. And because we are running a hostel and we want to build a feature which is to allow our customers to sleep inside the bookshelves. This is a bit difficult because integrating these two elements is hard. The other thing is that the layout of the old houses here in Tainan is not a completely square, and for us to do the construction, we have to first find out the right angles and then draw a straight line. With the straight line, you can do the layout survey and then to build the bookshelves. And then on the top left, you can see these are the foundation of the beds. And then on the bottom left, we were trying to mount the bookshelves onto the wall. And then on the top right and bottom right, these are the photos after we complete the construction, and then we have to put the books onto the bookshelves. This is the final look. The blue curtains, the blue part that you see now, are the beds. And then so we have like top and bottom bunks here. It actually took us a lot of time and efforts. We need to put a lot of efforts to do a lot of calculations so that we could finalize the whole layout of the room. As for the bunks or the beds, you can see that we have chosen mattresses with good quality. So you can check the photos on the left hand side. These kind of mattresses are the ones that you would choose for your own bedrooms. had to bought like 88 mattresses, but we did not cut corner. We have bought 88 mattresses for standard single bed. It's like 1 by 2 meter. And here are the quilts and pillows. You can see that the quilts are all folded really neatly. We did not do this for the purpose of taking photos. When you come to visit our hostel, the beds are always organized so that we can welcome our customers. Inside the room, we pay a lot of attention to details. I think details are very important. Because we are a hostel, so we will have the USB socket and the power outlet for the customers. And of course, because it's a hostel, it's a bit noisy. That's why we have always prepared like earplugs. And then we have towels for our customers. And then on the bottom left of the slide, you can see in this photo there is a bag. This bag is the traditional plastic bag people will use to go to the traditional markets for purchasing some vegetables and fruits. And we provide this kind of plastic bag for our customers so that they could take the bag and put their personal belongings when they go showering. I just don't want our customers to take everything with their bare hands. I just want to make sure that it's very convenient for our customers. The things that we provide should also be like meaningful, something related with our city. So this is why we provide this kind of plastic bag. And then for the photo in the middle, it's the kind of platform that we have seen in the bathroom. And this is made by the scraps. You could put your glasses or phones on it. And then for the last photo on the bottom right, because we are like hostel, after we turn off the light at the public area, some people might want to read, and then the reading lamp could provide them some light. And this is the full bedroom. This is the layout. Because our hostel is like right across a historical site, which is the Confucius Temple, and we decided not to put on the curtains. Without the curtains, people could see the views. They could see the Confucius Temple. And because we are running a hostel, we want to provide good products to our customers. So we are turning the necessities into products. Some of the products that we use at our hostel, we also become the products that people could purchase. That's why I want to tell you, like, for the necessities at your hostel, price is not always the most important thing. The quality and the practicability are also very important. So I just mentioned that our hostel would always cooperate with some artists and to hold some exhibitions. So here are some art exhibitions that we have done. So the third picture from the left, this is the work that we created when we entered the second year of our business. The artist Chen Yichun, he invited us to do this, and then he also invited us to create the artwork with him too. So in the photo, you could see me creating the artwork. And then we want to talk about the Lantern Festival events at like the Luomen Temple. So on the top left, the photo, we show people eating the rice dumpling. And then we also took our Australian guests to participate the Lantern Festival events. In Tainan, there are a lot of temples and a lot of events, and for foreign guests, they are always very interested in these events. Here at the Chaoji Inn Hostel, the first floor is a public area. We provide this area to our guests. We also provide this place to other visitors. So from 12 o'clock to 8 p.m., all the people, if they want, could visit our first floor and to read there. So they could come inside the space for free. Because we don't want to charge these people, so we decide to put a charity box at the first floor. So for our visitors, after they come to our place and then they want to provide or donate some money to us, then they could put the money inside the charity box. We will open this charity box every quarter and then donate the money to some organizations that would need our help. For our visitors, we also provide a free coffee for them so they could read and enjoy the coffee. And because our hostel is about like books, so we have new book sharing sessions. So this is some of the concept that we have for running business. And from the photo on the left, you can see that after you finish checking in, you could pass through all these bookshelves and enter our hostel. And then when you come into the hostel, you will pass through two very tall bookshelves. So we want to create this kind of atmosphere. And this is the 2018 World Cup. And this year, it's because of the pandemic, we could not welcome other foreign guests to enjoy the game with us. And then for the 2018 World Cup, we had customers from France. And then on the screen, you could also see the French team playing against other teams. So it was quite a coincidence. And then on the right-hand side is our guest from Japan. He's a doctor. He stayed with us, so I spent some time to watch the game with him. And then at our lunch or our kitchen, our customers could cook for themselves. So here are like a group of like Hong Kongers. They stayed with us and they went to like the supermarket to purchase some foods and cook a whole like cuisines. It's a really big feast, right? And then we also have origami classes. It's a class run by one of the artists that cooperate with us. So I just mentioned that we would always cooperate with some meaningful events. So here at our hostel, we also echo with the event held by Alight. So Alight is quite an environment friendly brand. So every year we will turn off the light for 1 hour, so to conserve the energy around the world. And here, because of the pandemic, we have pandemic prevention, which is our priority. The beds are placed using checkboard setting. So this is how we follow the guidelines from our CDC. And so this is my sharing today. Thank you.